Hey y'all, welcome back to my tennis podcast. I'm your host, TP. I like to think it stands for tennis professional even if my journey is far from complete on the road to pro. This past week I discussed my intent to hold a money tournament in Kearney with the Ernest Grundy Tennis Center's facility director, Matt Morrow. It was a very helpful meeting, and I feel now more than ever I have a clear vision for the future of Nebraska-Iowa money tennis, as I'll start calling it. I also met some very knowledgeable people who have agreed to share their wealth of experience with me to help my dream come to life. I've never been as confident and surprised by the ability of Nebraska tennis to come together to produce great things. I briefly hit with Matt to test the court surface, and I discovered something about my own game by detaching myself from self-observation. I realized that most times I'll try to overhit the ball to approach, and that takes time away for me to get to the net, forcing me to take volleys farther back in the court each time. That's why my game hasn't been transferring to net play well in singles. This is why playing better players can be so rewarding, even for just 15 minutes. You get to see the cracks in your game and patch them up. I can't wait to bring this back to junior players for Nebraska and Iowa. It's such a necessary part of development to play people way better than you at the sport. Unfortunately, there just aren't many opportunities to do that for kids that are rapidly improving right now. On the professional side of tennis, Novak Djokovic won his 100th ATP title. I would like to give my congratulations to Novak and his team. Winning just one ATP title is an incredible feat. Winning 10 is a dynasty. Winning 50 is absurd, almost unheard of, but winning 100, that's absolutely legend status. I know that some of the people watching this don't know much about tennis lore, but Djokovic is in the running for the greatest tennis player of all time, in competition with Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. They each have their own strengths and merits, with Federer being the most cool and level-headed with the most beautiful strokes, Nadal being the workhorse whose determination to win and fight over every point made him an international intersport icon, and Djokovic, who's the most flexible and healthy of the three, having the most Grand Slam titles and a history-making backhand. There are many other arguments to be made for each, but that's essentially what it boils down to. Roland Garros started on Sunday. A match I watched closely was the Shelton-Sonego first-rounder. Shelton performed his usual big game, serving +1 to take the first set 6-4. Sonego found his game in the second, though, taking it back 6-4. He started cooking in the third to pull away 6-3. In the fourth, things got interesting. Sonego's groove was disrupted by Shelton, causing frustration in his game. In the latter half of the set, Shelton's ankle began to hurt. He started going for more on his shots to shorten the points. Both players were frustrated with themselves by the end of the fourth, with Shelton keeping his lead 6-2, setting up a unique stage for the fifth set. Shelton would take a medical timeout to address the ankle between sets, and Sonego would leave the court for a gear change. In the fifth, both players' serves were rock solid until the fifth game, where Shelton was able to wrestle his service game away from Sonego to go up a break. Shelton used his big serve to consolidate the break at love and go up 4-2. Sonego, however, being a seasoned tour veteran, was unfazed by Shelton's pressure, holding to stay in it 4-3. There was a bit of trouble for Shelton on his service game, giving Sonego an even playing field with a poorly executed bailout drop shot at 30-15. Unfortunately for Sonego, that opportunity would not last, as Shelton's youthful confidence and massive serve were too much to handle. Shelton unleashed his pent-up energy into the last few points to blast his way to a 6-3 finish, sending Sonego to his second first-round singles exit in a row. This was Shelton's first ever 5-set match on clay. I also watched Sinner very closely. The match score of his first round against Rinderknecht does not tell the full story of the match. Yes, he won in straight sets, but an easy win was far from the truth. Rinderknecht found his game in the beginning of the third and made quite a challenge for the world number one, taking an early 4-0 lead. Jannik had to turn his game up to the next level and pull off a very difficult comeback to take the match in the third 7-5. When looking at this match, it's important to note what strategies the players are using. Rinderknecht went with a big serve and volley to shorten points and maintain an aggressive mindset, while Sinner stayed back and waited for his opportunity to capitalize when Rinderknecht grew colder. This enabled Sinner to take the necessary and crucial points and prevent Rinderknecht from capitalizing too much on his game plan. It's oftentimes the case with Grand Slam tournaments that we have some unique upsets. Those upsets for this week include Mariano Navone defeating Brandon Nakashima, Gabriel Diallo defeating Francisco Cerundolo, Daniel Altmaier defeating Taylor Fritz, João Fonseca defeating Hubert Hurkacz, Matteo Gigante defeating Stefanos Tsitsipas, Damir Zoomer beating Giovanni Mapesci Pericard, Nuno Borges defeating Casper Ruud, Cameron Norrie defeating Daniil Medvedev, and a personal favorite of mine, Ethan Quinn defeating Alexander Shevchenko. On the women's side, there were many battles. Some returning faces I've mentioned before include Paulini, who breezed through the second round in straight sets, Sabalenka, who blasted her opponent off the court, Ostapenko, who waged war against Dolehide to take it in an epic three-setter, Swiatek, who decimated her opponent as usual, and Goff, who continued her seasonal high with a 2-2 victory against Olivia Gadecki, who was the female player on the mixed team that won this year's Australian Open. Not a bad showing. But by far the greatest match of this week absolutely has to go to Gael Monfils versus Hugo Dellien. It's always a masterpiece when Monfils plays best of five at the French. You know that there's always going to be a special atmosphere about the stadium with the French crowd. This match definitely didn't disappoint. There was amazing tennis out of both players through and through, with Monfils defeating insurmountable odds after appearing to suffer an injury after running headfirst into the spectator's sidewall on his forehand wing. Dellien took the first two sets in a hard-fought hour and 30 minutes. As they tend to do to players who have won their affection, the crowd saw Monfils through to the end as his game and body picked up speed in the third set. Everything from the sound of the ball to the pace of the match completely shifted after the first two sets, and it seemed like Monfils was flying towards going the distance. Monfils took the third set 6-1 to secure a fourth. He would take an early lead in the fourth, but that would not be the end of the set. Dellien would wrestle back a break to get even with a massive cross-court angle and put the board at 5 games all, sending Monfils sliding off the court yet again. The tennis became rock solid for the rest of the set, with a tiebreaker inevitably ensuing. Monfils would smash a forehand pass down the line off an overhead to win and go up 3-2, and take control of the tiebreak from there. With the match at its most intense juncture yet, Dellien was fearless, trying to take back control with a litany of high-powered deep forehands to push Monfils back on his toes, smashing an inside forehand for a winner to put it at 5-3, and whipping a forehand pass down the line to make it 6-4. However, Monfils' seemingly limitless confidence and charisma, coupled with his series of jumping one-leg backhands, sealed the fourth with a clean approach winner down the line in an epic 17-shot rally. In the fifth set, a spry youthfulness in his legs that you would expect from a man 20 years his junior carried him through against Dellien's barrage of aggressive shots, putting the final nail in the coffin with a 126-mile-an-hour down-the-tee ace on the ad side. It seemed only a matter of time until he would actually pull it off. And then there it was. 5-1, 40 love, match point. After 5 full sets of amazing points and dramatic momentum shifts, trading ad and breaks for 3 hours and 35 minutes, Monfils stepped up to the line. The crowd fell silent, and the ball went up. All 15,000 pairs of eyes were on the ball. He hit tee. Dellien returned heavy middle. Monfils rips across court for a winner to seal the match, and the crowd erupts like he just won the final. 4-6, 3-6, 6-1, 7-6, 6-1. Playing at Roland Garros is always special to Monfils because he's from France. It's his home court, and the people there absolutely love to see their players thrive. So whenever you see him play for Roland Garros, it's not just him playing, it's his entire country behind him. He's representing everyone and all their hopes and dreams for a French player. There are still 2 more weeks of tennis to be had in France, and the level will only keep improving as the veterans settle into their draws and matches. And of course, I'll hope to continue giving you updates and new information about the matches as the tournament continues. This Tuesday, I started physical therapy for my lower back injury. It's been going well, and the team at Athletico has really been helping me get through the pain I've been experiencing since February. The healing process is slow, but seeing the progress even in these past few days gives me hope for the future. Perhaps not a chance to play pro, but most certainly to reclaim my former 8 UTR status and train to improve without physical complications. I'll be attending physical therapy 2 to 3 times a week for the next few months to promote quicker healing and long-term health. Coming up next week, the Drake University athletic director was kind enough to give me a meeting time to introduce my tournament series proposal. I'll be meeting with him in Des Moines on the 3rd to discuss potential use of their amazing Roger Knapp Tennis Center, which is home to 12 tennis courts, 6 indoor and 6 outdoor. It is one of several locations in Des Moines, but is the most used for tennis events in the area, making it a tried and true venue for competitive tennis. Its status as an NCAA Division I school also enables us to use their facilities' umpire chairs, scorecards, and other important resources. I am super excited, as always, to talk about it, and I'm sincerely hoping that this will work out. I've heard great things about Drake's facility, and it would be an honor if they were to host us for the tournament. This week I learned that UTR rating is not everything. Sometimes it's better to have a lower rating so that you have something to work towards again. I learned that passion is not everything. You need a solid plan to put that passion to good use effectively. That's what I'm finding now as my tournament organization campaign continues. I also learned that taking a break can be beneficial to not only yourself but the others around you who might push themselves too hard at times. It can be healthy to take a step away and think for a while. Thanks for listening to today's episode of TP's Tennis Podcast. I've been your host, TP. New episodes of the podcast can be found on our YouTube channel, Thomas Pate, at 5 p.m. on Thursdays. As always, please leave what you would like to hear about next in the comments, and I will see you all next Thursday.